Hello, my name is Candace Marcotte, and today I'm going to be addressing your challenges in teaching grammar in a Web 2.0 world. We're going to look at strategies that you can employ in your classroom to make sure that the bridge is gap between traditional grammar instruction and your 21st century learner. We've all heard the saying that learning is a journey, but let's take a look at the actual route. First, we need to ask ourselves, where am I? Where do I want to go? Which way do I take? And how will I get there? Well, it looks like we need to start packing. So we're going to utilize the TPACK model to ensure that all of our students have the maximum potential learning experience. First, we need to apply the context. I'm teaching middle school grammar in a Title I school, and my students don't have computer access in our classroom, but they all do have iPods. Looking at the content, I am trying to teach the correct grammar structures and conventions in written and spoken English and make sure that my students know how to apply them in each of those areas. Pedagogy. I've spoken with several of my students about how useful their grammar instruction is because I've identified that they're actually not learning. They're remembering for the week for the test. My goal is to make it interactive for them. And the technology I'll be exploring today with you is faketext.com. I will be scaffolding several technologies, but this is just the first of many. Here's an example of sentence combination. This is going to start out pretty basic because my kids have never used it before. The idea here is to bring a little bit of inquiry teaching into the grammar classroom. My students will all have a set of sentences per week, and every morning, instead of doing your standard DOL, they'll come in and see this on the board. And the idea is that they need to take the phrases and combine them into grammatically correct sentences. And all week I'll build off of the sentences so that they have a full paragraph, and then they're able to build off of that and make generalizations by what they see. We have then, and I had to walk to the store. My students would write what they think is grammatically correct. My students will all receive weekly graphic organizers to track their work. You'll see we have a column for the day of the week to keep them organized. We have a column for the grammatically correct paragraph. And then the last column asks them what choices they made and why. I want them to be aware that as they write, they are making choices and that there's purpose behind those choices. And at the very bottom, you'll notice that there is no Friday. I'm asking them what generalizations or rules they can come up with to enable my students the ability to make connection to the rules of grammar. I want to make sure that they're thinking higher level about it and that they're not just reciting and remembering rules that they've been taught. So here we have a student who's filled theirs out. Once again, remember, I'm not showing you how to use sentence combination with a paragraph here. I'm showing you a sentence to start off with because we need to teach our students the basic skills before we build. Once students have filled it out, they'll go into fake texting. And the point of this is because my students told me that they don't understand the difference between mediums. So this is going to show them. There are definitely numerous apps that you can use out there, but this is one strategy that I'm going to be employing for students who don't have an iPod in the classroom. They'll just come up to my computer. As we look at it, you can enter a conversation. It's quite simple to use. The student is going to then type in their conversation. So they take that sentence that they had and they turn it into their text lingo. We click create. Now what we have is a fake iPhone conversation, just like it would appear on an iPhone or your iPod. As students go ahead and build off of this and they are doing the paragraph sentence combination, they'll see a whole discussion show up. So if we go back, you can see now it shows up as a discussion. So this is how they'll understand that they're breaking up their sentences. Once students have completed their fake texting, we'll share them. So I'll have students share their models of what their fake texting looks like with our sentence examples, and then I'll have students model what they wrote in their grammatically correct paragraph. But they need to understand that it is dependent on the context that you're writing in. Every day we've had sentences. We've talked about it, we've discussed it. But now we're on Friday, and what generalizations and rules can we come up with? And through key vocabulary building throughout the week, they've learned that transitional adverbs should always be followed by commas. Just like every good traveler, now we need to figure out why we packed this way. What is the purpose behind placing technology, content, pedagogy, and the context together to figure out this method? Here we've taken something that I know is difficult for my students to understand. They do not get the difference between writing and speaking and how the grammatical structures and conventions are represented in each of those, because they live in a world where they write just like they speak. And I knew that I need to make this interactive while seeing that there's a difference between written and spoken English. So how can I do that? By using the faketext.com. It allowed me to show my students that there's a difference. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you have many adventures with your 21st century learners in your Grammar 2.0 Daily Digital.